You see these celebrities and all these other people putting together these fabulous nurseries. Baby, that is money, 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 money.
Is it really worth it? Baby spit up. They don't really even care about these things.
You know, if it was your bookcase, maybe 50, a baby bookcase, 130 at least.
Why does it cost so much?
Some people are against hand-me-downs. I was not.
A little shits with this information. I'm like, wait a minute, let me pop those fantasies.
You don't have to dress your babies as little dolls and models in order to provide for them well.
Motherhood has changed.
Oh my goodness. Yes.
It's not just you. Kids are indeed expensive, and it just seems like they're getting more and more expensive. But guess what? If you have a desire to be a mom, you can do it too. But there are some key things you should know. And Attorney Watts, who's also deep into motherhood, has joined us today as a special guest to help you figure out how to afford being a parent with all the tips that you're gonna need. Make sure you pull out that pad, pull up that iPad, and pull out whatever documentation device you use, because you're gonna need to take some notes. Thank you for joining us, and don't forget to click subscribe.
So for anyone who is considering having a child and you're wondering, can I actually afford a baby? Can I afford even the delivery, the diapers? We're going to talk about it today because a lot of people are oftentimes surprised when they see that price tag that comes with the baby. So we want to make sure to empower women so that you are more prepared when you are planning your family. And we're excited to have back with us Attorney LaShonne Watts, Senior Assistant City Attorney, Level 2 for the City of Houston, who is a mom. Now you are deep in motherhood.
Yes. Yes. No longer just the toe, everything is in.
Everything is in, everything up to the neck in motherhood. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
And you're going to help us kind of figure out these numbers, because sometimes people do get discouraged, because some people, you have the group of people who feel that they can never afford being a mother, and so they defer or delay motherhood, trying to attain some financial goal or set price that they think that they can be comfortable with. And you'll let us know whether or not that's even feasible. And then you have the other group who kind of nosedive into it, no plan, no nothing, no safety guards, nothing, and then get shocked at how expensive it is to have a child, birth a child, raise a child. And that's not even all the other things that come with motherhood. So how did you intentionally financially prepare to become a mom?
I didn't like put away a nest egg or something, and I probably should have. I think I was just I'm a lawyer. I'm a government lawyer, so I'm not a firm lawyer. So I don't make firm lawyer money, but even as a government attorney, I make a pretty decent salary. So I think I was just relying on the fact that I have a job and that I have healthcare through my job. So whatever it is, that should get me through, because I see plenty of women walking around with 3, 4, 5, 6 kids. So I'm thinking if they can have that many and the kids okay, then maybe I can afford the one that I'm gonna have. So I did not look into it until after I was pregnant and started thinking, okay, well, how much are diapers, and if I don't breastfeed, how much is formula? And yeah, I was surprised. I got shocked.
Let me ask you this question: had you have any conversation with your girlfriends about how much the motherhood costs, like how much even just having a newborn costs? Did anyone ever share that with you before?
The most expensive thing I heard about was childcare. So I knew daycare was going to be an expensive ticket. So a lot of my friends talked about how much care for kids is, especially when they become school age and you're talking about summer camps and things like that. I knew that part of it was going to be expensive. So I kind of thought maybe I had a little bit of time, except for I knew I was going to go back to work after maternity leave. So I had to be prepared for how much daycare was going to cost. Although I think it's more than what my friends had said. So yeah.
Well, after the pandemic, everything went up.
Yes. And so I guess that's the other thing that plays into it. They call it inflation. So my friends, because they had their kids, I'm an older mom. So most of my friends have children that are older, way older. And so what they could tell me is from, 8 years ago, this is how much
Right.
stuff costs. Yeah. And I'm like, yeah, stuff don't cost that anymore. And now, and I realize it's like with weddings, anytime you attach wedding to anything you want to do, like I need a DJ for a wedding, it automatically becomes much more expensive. So it's the same thing with kids. Anything that has the baby tag attached to it is automatically much more expensive than it would be normally. So I think the biggest part that my friends did not tell me about was all the equipment that you have to pay for that costs a lot of money.
Like what?
Strollers, car seats,
Mm.
cribs, bassinets, the changing tables. Like if you want to you see these celebrities and all these other people putting together these fabulous nurseries, baby, that is money, 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 money. I mean, baby decorations. You say it's a bookcase for a baby, that bookcase is automatically $130. If it was your bookcase, maybe 50, a baby bookcase, 130 at least. And especially if you want it, because all the baby bookcases are going to come in the standard baby colors, the light grays, the white, maybe a darker wood tone if you want it. It's more money. So car seats, super expensive. And if you want the fancy car seats, like everybody wants the Duna, be prepared. That Duna is $550.
Like, what is the Duna doing to cost that much? No, seriously, I really don't have an idea of what it costs, why it costs so much. Why does it cost so much?
Because so I will say this, the Duna is fabulous. It's gonna be the thing that you're like, oh my God, how did any people parent before they had a Duna? So a Duna is a car seat and a stroller in one. So basically it's the car seat and it's the stroller. So you literally press a button, push the stroller, push it down and the wheels, and you just pick it up and stick it into the car as is. And then when you're get ready to get out, you unhook it, you pull it out, you hit the button, pop it up, and bam, you push and you're on your way. So you're not going into your trunk trying to get another device. And when you travel, it is a car seat for another car. So, most car seats will have a base in it that you keep in your car that's standard, and that's what you lock the car seat into. The Duna has that base, but it also functions as its own base. So when you're in someone else's car and you're traveling, all you have to do is face it backward facing, and you pull the regular seatbelt around it. There's a way to attach the regular seatbelt around it that keeps it in place. So you don't need a base for it if you're traveling. And it's compact enough that it fits in like the airplane seats if you want to bring it on there, or if you're traveling on the airplane and you just have to gate check it. It's so small and convenient because you literally just push a button, click it down, and it's the car seat, and they take it on, and then you pop it out and bring it back. So it's very convenient.
Listen, Tuna needs to pay you for that testimonial because I'm convinced I want to do it right now. That is some good engineering.
So the good thing about it though is that it has a high resale value because everyone wants it. So even if you pay your $550 for it, when you get done with it, you can sell it on eBay or something, and you don't have to discount it for a significant amount of money. The bad thing about the Duna is that kids will grow out of it. Most kids will probably grow out of it very easily because the weight limit on it is only 31 pounds.
Oh, okay.
Depending on how fast your baby grows, they could stay in until they're almost 2. If you have a child like mine who's very long, he may not weigh a lot. He aged out of it sooner because he's a tall baby. So it's only gonna extend for so many inches because then his feet were, scrunched up in it. So even though he wasn't under the weight limit, it's still really for a newborn baby. So you're really on it. You probably will only keep it for a year. So 500, most people don't want to spend $550 on a stroller that you're going to keep for a year. But the good thing is that it's the stroller and the car seat. So when you age out of the Duna, then you're stuck buying a car seat and a stroller, and then the convenience is not there. But they have all kinds of things. They have an $1,100 bassinet if you want to be fancy. And bassinets you only keep for like 6 months.
Yeah. So certainly if you're in that income bracket, no judgment, do what you want to do because it's like $1 for you, right?
Right.
But for the average person that's really striving to get these higher priced brands, is it really worth it? Baby spit up. They don't really even care about these things.
Right. So, and this is the snoo. I think it's Swedish or something like that. And it supposedly it can sense when the baby is about to be whiny and it starts rocking the baby. Um, when the baby starts to cry, it will move and rock the baby. Supposedly babies really fall asleep in it. They love it. I myself was not spending $1,100 on the snoo. I don't know what the resale value on it is. I'm like, I think I can just roll over and pat my baby on the back. I don't
I
need
mean, do we have comparison studies? Do we have studies where we
yeah, exactly.
compare?
Especially since most babies are not they're in the bassinet for such a short period of time. I mean, when you think
Right.
about newborn life, they're waking up every 2 hours. So yes, they're sleeping in it some, but 6 months, maybe to a year, and then they're transitioning to a crib. So, and then a lot of people get in the habit of the baby is sleeping in the bed with them, especially the breastfeeding moms. So is
Mhm.
the baby really going to be in this $1,100 bassinet that much that you want to
So,
spend on it?
so it sounds like we can certainly make some more informed decisions,
Yes.
right? So you mentioned the accessories were really a surprise, and that seems to be a target area where our companies are trying to make a dollar out of 50 cents. What else is something or an area that expecting moms or aspiring moms should really think about when it comes to the cost of motherhood, at least
Yeah.
even the initial years?
I would say if you're not breastfeeding, formula is very expensive. It's very expensive. And so you really have to consider if something happens, if you just decide you don't want to breastfeed, I would rethink that because breastfeeding is, it's all the health benefits that it is for the baby and it's free. I mean, it's milk coming, your supply is coming. As long as the baby is feeding, the milk is going to come. So you shouldn't have to, hopefully you won't have to worry about that. I know some women have trouble with the baby's latching,
Mm-hmm.
not producing enough, but if you're
Mm-hmm.
in the category of women that actually produce milk, I would consider it because the cans of formula can be at least $30 a can. And if you're doing, and most bottles,
And how quickly do you go through that?
you will go through a can in less than a week because the baby is eating every 2 hours. So you're making bottles every 2 hours, all day, every day. So the cans are only going to be so big. And if your baby develops a milk allergy or has some other allergies, the allergy free and the like soy formulas are more.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think, can I spend at least $30 on a can of formula at least twice a week? Because I got to, and then as the babies get older, they're drinking more formula, which means you're going through it quicker because it's usually 1 scoop per 2 ounces. So if your baby is drinking 4 ounces, that's 2 scoops per bottle. And then you're doing that every 2 hours. So you're probably making 6 or 7 bottles a day. 2 scoops will go quickly. A scoop, and then eventually 2 scoops are going to go quickly every day. And then even the cans of formula as they get older. So my son developed, he has really like a dairy intolerance, and his
Mm-hmm.
formula was the bottles were $14 each, and it's a 32-ounce bottle. So you're giving him 6 ounces. That bottle is gone in a few days. And then for me, if you're sending bottles to school, to daycare, and you're
Mm-hmm.
sending bottles home, you're doubling that because you got to keep you got to keep a couple of bottles at the house and send a couple of bottles to daycare. So everything that you have at home, daycare is going to want, including Pampers, Costco Pampers. If you want Huggies, I bought Huggies. I'm a Huggies mom. Huggies
Mm-hmm.
at Costco is $52 a box. And that's
Listen,
$52 a box.
listen.
And mind you, daycare wanted me to send them at least 30 Pampers at a time. So that's almost one whole pack. I mean, they come in 174, but you have to figure
Mm-hmm.
how often you're changing kids. So you're changing babies. So if you're keeping a stash of Pampers at the house, you're sending to daycare. So you got to remember you're keeping your diaper bag stashed, you got your home stash, you're sending to daycare. those Pampers are going to go quick, and $52 is a lot. So you can get the Costco brands, or other brands, and don't get the organic brands that you got to order online. They're even more
Mm-hmm.
expensive for less Pampers. So Pampers and formula, lot. And then just even the baby food itself, as the child gets older and starts just doing the purees, they're not that expensive. But even
Okay.
at maybe 82 cents a pouch, depending on how many they're eating, it'll start to add up.
Set up. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, 10 of those little jars or 10 little pouches is $10 easily. And depending on how many they're eating a day, that's expensive. You got to think about really when you are sending kids to daycare that you're really sort of doubling up because you're going to be sending clothes. That was the other thing. I'm sending clothes to daycare. I got to keep some at home.
Why
So,
are clothes for kids so expensive? I mean, it's almost
oh
no
my
different than
gosh,
adult clothes,
you
and it's
better
less
go to Ross.
material.
You better stay at Ross, Marshalls, uh, not
Right.
even really Target, because Target onesies can be very expensive. And then it's the onesies, it's the mitts, it's the hats, so if you're buying multiples of those, like I gotta have some
Mm.
at home, or I gotta buy enough where I can send some to school and the kid won't miss it. Because at the young stages, they're throwing up all the time. So you might be changing their clothes 2 or 3 times. So I remember I'm sending my son in the clothes that I'm dressing him in, but I'm making sure that
Mm.
I'm sending like 2 extra outfits to
Mhm.
daycare just in case he spits up while he's there. So yeah, clothing that they're gonna grow out of very quickly becomes it starts to add up. The $15 for the 3 pack, and then you're getting the undies. All of those things seem to be expensive, but when you're buying them, when you buy a lot of them, and it's like, okay, I'm in the newborn, and then a couple of months later, oh, he doesn't wear newborn. Now he's in the 0 to 3 months, and then okay, he grew a lot quicker because he's eating more. So you may have bought 0 to 3 months, and he didn't wear half of the outfits that you bought. So now you're already starting to buy the 3 to 6 months. That adds up
Yeah.
quick.
Yeah.
It adds up very
Yeah.
quickly. And some people are against hand-me-downs. I was not.
I know that's right.
I'm like,
Yep.
you've had sons before. I am not ashamed. Send me those baby clothes because the quickness that they grow and how much they cost. Yeah, you got to think about bibs. Bibs are not cheap.
Mhm.
Pacifier holders, and like I say, anything attached to baby.
Everything has something that goes with it. It
Yeah, they're
sounds
dish
like.
soap. You don't use regular soap. You don't use like Dawn or Palmolive or whatever the dish soap that you use. You don't use that for babies. They have their own, whether it's Dapple or Draft. That's $5, $6 a bottle. It's not the same cheap $2 or $3 you spend for yours. So you have to think, okay, I gotta buy special washcloths and all the baby, baby shampoo and baby
For
lotion.
sensitive skin, and now they have the
Yeah,
sanitizer machine that you sanitize the
everything.
bottles with. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
you
just
gotta sanitize all the bottles, and I mean, you'd be surprised how much just the teethers cost. Like none of this stuff, the clip-on for the pacifiers, all of
mhm.
those things, all the toys, you think just the little rattles, at least $10. Unless you're going like,
How did you know what you needed, by the way, as a new mom? Like
um,
were you going around taking lists from other moms? Like how did you even,
yeah,
because I'm sitting here,
friends,
I'm going, even as
yeah,
a clinician, I have no idea what I would need.
friends, the diaper pails, you're gonna need a diaper pail. Depending on how you want to do it, you might want two because you might want one, like if you upstairs or downstairs, maybe one in the baby's room and one somewhere else. So diaper pails are at least $80. So you need pails. You got to pay for the refills that go in the diaper pails. So yeah, ask your friends to make you a list because yeah, if your bottles are expensive, special nipples for the babies, the non-colicky nipples and all of that.
Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
need that. You definitely need a bunch of wipes. So I would suggest having a wipe and diaper shower, and have people don't oh, I don't want you to get me clothes. Yes, give me clothes. I love the Target gift cards. Those were the best gifts that I had because I was in Target all the time buying all the things that he needed: socks, diapers, wipes. So those Target gift cards come in handy. You're going to need the baby baths because unless you're just going to
All
say, I'm just
right.
gonna put them in the sink. You need a baby bathtub. Those are not cheap. You need the bathtubs,
Right.
you need the carriers, you need the diaper bags. Um,
The
it just
wipes.
comes to light. It comes. I got a wipe warmer. So if you want to, you don't want to put cold wipes on your baby's booty, you can get a wipe warmer. The little white noise machines for some kids and the night lights. Oh, the
Wait. So wait a minute. They have white noise machines for the kids?
oh yeah, for the baby rooms. Yes. They play white noise and other calming sounds to put the baby to sleep.
Motherhood has changed.
Oh my goodness. Yes, they have all. I will tell you the thing that I did not expect to be as expensive. The little camera
Uh-huh.
where you put one in the nursery and you keep the little monitor with you. That was
Uh-huh.
$200.
Oh my
Thankfully,
gosh.
that was a gift from a friend. I did not know those little monitors were that expensive. But
Wow.
that's standard. $200 for the camera just to
And
watch your
then
baby.
the stuff in the car, like the cameras in the car, not is it a camera or a
I have
monitor
a
or
camera. Yeah, most people have mirrors. I got
uh-huh.
fancy, got a camera. That that actually wasn't as expensive as I thought it was.
Oh,
Good.
really?
No, but that
Okay.
monitor, yeah, I think the car camera was like $30.
Oh, that's not bad. So sometimes as a new mom, you get overwhelmed when you think about, I'm not even a mom and I'm overwhelmed listening to this list, right?
Mhm.
So if you were a mom of limited means and you were focusing on getting through the newborn phase, what are the things that you should absolutely put as a high priority? And what are the things that we tend to get, but we don't really need as much. Like you mentioned some of these in a few moments ago. Like, do you really need an expensive bassinet? What else do we really not necessarily need, and what things should we prioritize more?
I got a lot of the feeding pillows, the little pillows that either you set the pillow on your lap and then you put the baby on it to breastfeed, or you can wrap one around your waist and sit the baby on it. I never use those. I had two of those that I tried
Mm,
using. They just never quite fit the right height. I could never get him positioned on it right the way that I needed him to. So just putting him in my arms and using just a regular standard pillow worked. So I have two of those that I still can't use and that I never used that I think was just like a waste of time.
mhm.
Um, I had a couple of the carriers. I see, you see a lot of people, African women normally just take a long piece of material, put the baby on,
Old
wrap
school
it up,
way.
and keep
Yeah.
it moving. They
Yeah.
have now these little contraptions. I bought 2 or 3 of those that I never used because it was crazy trying to figure out how to strap it onto me and then how to get him on it and maneuver it in a way that he felt comfortable. And so
Hmm.
I think I have a couple of those that I never used that I
And some
could,
babies just don't like them.
yeah. And so, how would you feel just dangling like attached to somebody
And
and you're
then
just like,
I heard something about the ergonomics, like some pediatricians or physical therapists are concerned about the spread of their legs and all these. I'm not
right,
going to tap into that, but I know
right.
that that's a trending conversation.
I just never could figure it out. And I just never felt like I got the right size. That I wouldn't say I needed as much. Yeah, the wipe warmer is not necessary. I think the
Okay.
baby bathtub is definitely necessary. Um, you're
Gotcha.
definitely gonna need the nail clippers. Make sure you get
Oh.
and the syringes to suck out the nose. Um, I think there's a lot of just basics in the newborn stage that you just need
Hmm.
to have. You need to have your bassinet or wherever. You got to have the birth cloths. Um, if you want to get the little stuff where the blankets with the 1 month, 2 month, 3 month, and all that, so you can take the picture.
Hmm.
You gotta remember to do that. Great. I wouldn't always remember this.
It's a little extra. Like we don't need it.
Yeah, because they have now all of these things that you can buy, the little setups and get ups that you can do. That's great if you're going to scrapbook and you're going to remember to do that. It's not
Uh-huh.
necessary. I don't
Gotcha.
think you need a whole lot in the infant stage. That's the thing. There's so many things out there that you could get. I think you definitely need something for tummy time, but you don't have to. Like the important thing is putting the baby on a soft surface, like your bed, and making sure they have time on their tummy. Yeah, you can get the little mobiles and things, but I mean, those things are like $50. I'm talking about just a basic mat that has the little arch on it with things
Right.
dangling from it. It's
That's
$50.
$50. I'm in the wrong
Yes,
profession.
you are. So I'm like, how about just get a little
I need to
bear?
go create something, put baby on it.
That is the thing. The minute you attach baby to it, it becomes a whole different stratosphere of cost.
So if you had to do it all over again,
Mhm.
and there's a mom out there who's aspiring mom or in the planning season, what would you do different in terms of preparing financially? Because this definitely is an investment for sure.
Yeah.
Actually, not even investment, because not like you're going to get it back.
Oh yeah. I was a little bit shocked that my son was a C-section. So I just assumed I could go to the hospital. I knew I was going to pay something out of pocket, but I figured the insurance company would pay most of it. Honey,
Mhm.
they knew my cesarean was coming. And so it's like a week before they want to walk you through what the process is and where you would go and whatever. But they required payment before they would do any sort of admission sort of thing. So it's like,
Ooh.
oh no, you can't come and have your baby here unless we got to get some money up front. Like they wanted a percentage of what it was going to cost up front before they would even do sort of any admission. And I think that ended up being a few $1,000s that I had to come out of
Wow.
pocket for in the very beginning. And I wasn't expecting that I was gonna have to put a down payment on it. You figure I
Right.
thought I'd get a hospital bill. I didn't know
Right.
they were gonna say, "Oh, no, we need some money up front." Like, "We are not admitting you. I know you have a date set, but that date does not have to be set in stone until we get a little bit of something from you." Totally shocked. Totally
Well, you
shocked.
need some policy changes, but definitely check
Yeah,
out the policies of your state and of the hospital
and
you
your
plan to go
insurance,
into.
yes. 'Cause
Yes.
this is a very well-known hospital that delivers babies, so who knew? And I'm like, "So what happens when you don't have insurance? Are they
Right.
really expecting you to put, like, 50% down on these several $1,000s that it's gonna cost you?" And,
That's
oh,
the truth.
ladies that have sons, the circumcision is not free.
Oh,
That's
yes.
another that's another
That's a good
doctor
one.
and another
That's a
surgeon.
good one.
Even though they just do a snip snip, oh,
Mhm.
yes, that is the and you better hope and so you don't get to choose the doctor that does the circumcision. So hopefully
Not
the
in most
hospital
places.
chooses the doctor that's in network. Otherwise, you're gonna get an out of network expense for a doctor just for the circumcision. So beware. And those tests that they run, the hearing test and all that on the baby to make sure the baby's okay, those are not free.
Mhm.
So
Ooh, say that again.
yes, so all the little tests that they do
All
before
those
they
newborn screening
release
tests.
you. Yes, the screening test before they release you from the hospital to say your baby's okay, those are not free. Those cost. Those cost. I would say, try to, if you can, depending on what your health insurance is, put some money aside for that. Definitely start looking at daycare providers early. I know you think you
Mhm.
have time, but if you know you're going to take maternity leave and you're going to go back afterwards, that 3 months, if you get it, or 4 months, is going to go by very fast. Most of these places for newborns have wait lists. So you're going to probably even go before the baby is born to look at these places
That's a
beforehand
good
and try
point.
to
I
get
didn't realize that.
yeah, you're gonna have to get the baby probably on a wait list even before the baby is born because newborns are the most expensive to care for. So you're gonna pay a premium, and depending on what kind of facility you want your child in and who you want your baby to be cared for by, you're gonna pay a little bit more for it. So I looked at, and for example, I looked at one that was a Montessori daycare. So, okay, so thinking he's gonna be there at 3 months, they had the nerve to want to charge fees for a newborn like they do for the 2 and 3-year-old. So it's like a supply fee once a quarter, $250. I'm like, "What supplies are you giving?" Because I'm
Right.
getting
Right.
diapers, clothing. They were like, "Oh, well, we do like, um, We do activities with the newborns, like you know how they have a kid do the finger paints, they'll like and I'm like, okay, so that's $250 if you put a
Right.
3-month-old hand in some
Oh, they
paint.
tried it.
So that would be an extra $1,000 a year in
Oh
supply
my
for a newborn
gosh.
if I had decided to send my son to this school. Mind you,
That's
you're
insane.
sending everything to the school, so why is there
Right.
an expense of even, I think they went up, they were about $1,650 a month, and that was a mid-range daycare. There were others that were over the $2,000 mark a month for a baby. So start
Y'all.
looking while you're pregnant for daycare and make, if you know you're going back to work and you know you're not going to stay at home, because that is probably
I,
going to be the most expensive.
I'm glad that you touched on that because I read the State of Motherhood survey and it said that about 59% of moms rely on outside childcare and about 63% are paying for 30 plus hours a week of care. And one
Yes.
fifth of those are not satisfied with their childcare.
Yeah.
So even though it's expensive and you're paying a whole lot of money and you're paying for a lot of hours, it looks like the majority are paying for almost a full week. That's almost like someone's salary.
Oh yeah. Daycare providers, can you imagine if you have at least 10 babies and you're getting $1,600 a month for those 10 babies? That is a lot of a month now. That's per month that you're
Wow.
making that
I'm in
for
the
just
wrong
the infant
profession.
room. Yes. So imagine as they
Maybe
get
I
older.
need to explore the caring for kids on the other end, post womb, post uterus.
I'm telling you, if you
Wow.
haven't looked into it, you should, because that's who's making the money, honey. It's not us. And that's the other thing. Imagine not being satisfied with that.
Uh-huh.
So we're talking 16,000 a month just for the infants. And that's just zero. That's usually 3 months to less than a year. And then they move
Mhm.
up to another. So if you can handle it,
Wow.
yeah, that is a lot of money. $16,000 a month just for baby.
I know this idea about kind of instead of doing the showers like we typically do the showers where people sometimes get things that they want and things that they don't want, and now things are a little bit better and intentional with the baby list and the registries. But I'm
Yeah.
wondering, like, should we instead create a fund for daycare? Fund my daycare. Should that be on the list?
I think you should. Like you really should. Diapers $52. Maybe you're buying, depending if your baby doesn't go through a lot, and you could probably keep a box of diapers then for a month. Okay,
Mhm.
$52 a month, I can do it. But $1,600 a month, can you deal with that?
Right.
If you don't have a village, if you're not one of those ones that are fortunate enough to have your parents or an aunt or some family member that you care about that's going to help, or you're going to stay home for the first year, yeah, you should absolutely think about creating. People do it for honeymoons, right? They have a honeymoon.
Yes.
So why not
Yeah.
do a daycare fund?
Yeah.
I mean, I 100,000%. And nannies, even more expensive. They're like 40 bucks an hour. So if you need if
A
you need,
whole salary.
yeah,
Like you're basically going to be paying them your salary or a part of somebody's salary.
yes.
So,
Yes, and all
wow.
daycare centers are not created equal. So yes, that whole 1/5 of people not being happy about it. But what can
Mhm.
you do if you got to work and you got to leave
Right.
your child with somewhere? So yes, the less expensive facilities may not be, your kid may not get a diaper change as often as you want them to. They may
You
get
may be the person on the
leftovers.
news showing what you found out happened, which is very scary, but it has been happening.
Happen
But
right
now
now.
that makes sense why the survey also found that there was an increase in the amount of stay-at-home moms that went from 15% in 2022 to 25%. That's a dramatic rise in 2023. Do you anticipate that we're going to see potentially more stay-at-home moms because of the cost of
I think
childcare?
so. Yeah, I think I've had friends that have made that decision that it was cheaper for them to lose that, to not have that salary, because they were going to be paying so much more in daycare expenses, that it just
Wow.
ended up being more cost effective for someone to stay at home and to try to budget off the other person's salary than to have to pay that. I mean, and
Mhm.
imagine if you have multiple kids in daycare. So
Right.
if you're one of those ones that are having them once every year, the kids are 1 year apart, then you got 2 infants in daycare that you're paying
Right.
for. That is super expensive. And then you're buying diapers for 2 kids. You could be buying wipes for 2 babies. You're buying,
Mhm.
don't let the kids get sick. The other thing I wasn't prepared for are the co-payments that come with going to the
Okay,
doctors.
I was going to ask you about that. So would you suggest that people be intentional about the type of insurance they choose if they're planning their pregnancy? Like making sure that you choose the type that has a lower copay, perhaps may end up with a higher deductible, but at least you're going to need frequent visits, right?
Yeah. So yes, if your baby gets sick, I thought that all the visits under the first year were covered. No, there is still a copay. So even though I have a big name insurance company, there's still a copay attached every time I go to take him to the doctor. So it may not be the full cost of the visit, but still it's like $89 every time he goes. And so you got to take him the first 3 days that they're out of the hospital. That's one visit. And then if for some reason they develop jaundice or they get sick or something
Mhm.
happens, you got to
Anything.
go. That's another visit. And then they're starting doing the immunization. So you're taking them for like a 3-month shot, then a 6-month shot. And then my son did develop a little bit of jaundice. Just to put him on this little light that they give, that was
Mhm.
$99 that was $99 in addition to the copay that he had to have. And it was only for like a 24-hour period that he needed it. Baby medicine cost a lot. I mean, like, I think you have to just start looking at this should be a fun shower game, like The Price is Right. How much does Milacon cost? How much
I would
is
not win.
water? How much? And you'll learn these things. Gripe water is when they're fussy and they may develop hiccups. You give them a little drop of this, it helps with the fussiness. Milacon is when they're gassy. Like how much is
Mhm.
infant Tylenol? How much, when they start teething, how much is Oragel? And look at how much these things cost and you would be surprised. But I think you need to prepare yourself for, like, you think they're cute and cuddly, but these things are gonna cost a lot. And God forbid you have a child that gets sick a lot with ear infections or anything like that that picks up things or
Schedule your pregnancy. Don't deliver. Don't deliver in the
yeah.
peak season of all the viruses.
Oh yeah, especially when these kids go to these daycare, and that's the other thing you have to think about. You sending these kids to daycare,
Yep.
and if you're a working mom and you know your child is sick, but you're like, I can't afford to stay home because the daycares will say, can you please keep them home if you see your child has a runny nose or a cough? People don't. They send them anyway, and then the other kids pay for it. And yeah, like my son came home with hand, foot, and mouth disease because a lady, she didn't notice it in time, and that is very contagious and it spreads very quickly. I mean, I had babies that had COVID that
Mhm.
come in and they caught the symptoms late, but it's too late at that time because then it's, COVID. Oh,
Yeah.
and daycare centers closed. My daycare center wants to be on the regular school district calendar, which means
Oh,
they're so shocker. When you're
I did
looking
not
at
know
daycare
that.
facilities, check the calendar and the schedules because mine closes for spring break. It closed for Easter. It closed for Good Friday and Easter Monday. It closed for a week in the summer. It closed for the whole week of Thanksgiving. And they were out for 3.5 weeks during December at Christmas time. A working mom with a daycare provider.
Right. So what do you
And
do? Because you're still working. Your
yes,
job isn't
you have
closed.
vacation. Luckily for me, my partner worked in Alaska, so he had
Uh-huh.
to be so he's in Alaska for a time, home for a time. It just so happened that his time home aligned with
Worked
the
out.
Christmas break. Otherwise, I don't know what I was going to do because who closes a daycare center for 3 weeks at Christmas time to be on a school schedule? So check that out when you're looking at daycare centers.
Oh, I did not know that.
What is
I
the
definitely
copay
did not
schedule?
know that.
Yeah,
Oh, that is insane. So what do you do if you're a single parent?
exactly. What do you do if you're a single parent? And I don't know what I would have done if his dad hadn't have been home because I didn't have 3 weeks of vacation to use
Right.
because I had just
Especially
gotten
if you just gave
maternity
birth,
leave.
you probably used
Yeah,
up some of your vacation
it's all of
also
my vacation for maternity leave, and
for
I'm trying to
maternity
build
leave.
it back up. So
Yes.
yeah, unless you've been at your job for a long time and you're accruing hours more quickly, which I wasn't because I was new to my job. I
And
didn't
a
have
lot of jobs don't
the
let you carry over sometimes. So
right.
not everyone have those options. This is definitely enlightening. Definitely. But I don't want people to also, I love how real you have been and how just even things that we would never think about unless you are a mom having
Yeah.
and you have been through this. But for those who are aspiring moms, a lot of this information may be shocking. I feel a little shook. Okay. A little shook with this information. I'm like, wait a minute, let me pop those fantasies. But how would you encourage someone who is perhaps looking at single motherhood? And I know single motherhood is kind of real, because also know your state laws, because what I learned, which was interesting about Texas, is that there's a cap on child custody in Texas. I didn't know that until recently.
Me
So
neither.
definitely check out the laws of the
Yeah.
land if you are going to be doing some type of co-parenting situationship.
Yes.
um but also, like, how do you encourage that mom who is looking at, has limited resources but really wants to be a mom and really has a yearning to become a mom, and maybe trying to figure out how to make this work? How does she make this work?
I would say, from the beginning of time, women have been having babies, right? We've seen our parents. Some of us have seen our mothers struggle through it, our grandmothers, our aunts. So it's not like it's not doable. But then you have to think about what sort of lifestyle do you want your child to have? Because if you're gonna do this on your own and you got to work and depend on your income, then just know then your child is going to be in daycare most of the time and you're going to feel that guilt, or they're going to be with another provider most of the time because you got to work to hustle to get this. They may not have the newest baby clothes, and that's fine. You'll get they don't necessarily need new clothes all the time, and you don't have to dress your babies as little dolls and models in order to provide for them well. But you have to also consider what happens when your child has allergies. It then changes how you have to feed them, and so you can't just then go to the store and buy anything for them because you're looking for gluten, or you're looking for nuts, or you're looking for all these other things that you got to prepare. And do you have the time to prepare special meals for them?
How are you surviving as a career mom? How do you do it?
So my partner, he works in Alaska. He's there for at least 3 weeks at a time, and then he gets to come home for 3 weeks. But even when he's not home, I don't have time to cook a meal every day, but my son still needs to eat. I pick him up because I'm actually leaving work early at 5:30 to go get him because the daycare closes at 6. So that's the other thing. You got to figure out what your work schedule is and how late the daycare is open. So I have to be at the daycare no later than 6. Otherwise, I'm getting charged late fees. So I'm picking him up at 6. We get home at 6:30, depending on if traffic is good or not. So 6:30. So we're get home. He's ready to eat. Who's got time to cook? I found a program that will cook fresh meals every week. They package them up and send them to my house. So I don't have to worry about cooking dinner for him. I just have to figure me out. So get home, get him changed, settled in. I go downstairs, I grab a meal out of the refrigerator, pop open the can, put it in the microwave for 45 seconds, and out he has a fresh meal every night. I send those same meals for lunch for him at daycare because daycare
Oh,
doesn't provide
right.
meals. So
With the $1,600 you pay, there is
with
no meal.
$1,600 you're paying,
There
they
is no
pay
meal
for
included.
food.
There's
No,
not even a Happy Meal.
ma'am,
Child.
because they don't know what your kid needs,
Oh,
and
right.
your
Allergies
kid
and
has
things like that.
allergies or is just a picky eater. How are they going to do this? So yes, I have to have. So I send a meal to daycare, and I have a meal at home, and I get them every week. So if you can afford it, it's I pay for, I think, 14 meals. That gives me two a day, 7 days a week, and I make his breakfast. He likes oatmeal, so I will make him a sausage and give him oatmeal in the morning, so I don't have to worry about that. But for lunch and dinner, I buy these meals, and let me tell you, it has made my life easier. It's about $80 a week, so if you can afford that extra, was that $320 a month? I
Mhm.
mean, for me, it's worth it because then I'm not worrying about what am I going to cook? What is he going to eat? Because my son is very picky, and these are finger-sized meals. He can feed himself.
Mhm.
Worry about that. And they're freshly prepared. Like they cook your meals, like you put your
Oh.
order in every week. And so they
Oh.
they prepare them and cook them every week and send them to you. That's why you're only really reheating them. And so it's stuff like shepherd's pie, cheeseburger mac,
Oh, like
spaghetti
real
meatballs.
food.
It's real foods. And each meal comes with the vegetables. So it's like spaghetti meatballs, but it has broccoli in it with the pasta.
Love it.
And the shepherd's pie is peas and corn and carrot and roasted potatoes. And they even do the little salmon cakes that have peas and roasted potatoes. So it's a balanced meal. I'm not giving him, so it's not like chicken fingers and French fries. He's getting
Right, right.
real food. He's getting squash if he eats it, sweet
Wow.
potato.
So it's pediatrician approved is essentially
Yeah,
what it sounds like.
yeah.
I
So
love
I'm
that.
like,
What about for moms who have like, do they cater to special diets? These
they do.
services?
They have a menu of meals that you get to choose from. And as your child, so that is like the finger food selection. So those are ones that are specially prepared for babies that are just starting to eat, that are feeding themselves. So the consistency of the meat is such that they shouldn't choke. So it's
Mm,
soft enough and cooked and prepared just like that. So as the kids get older, they have bigger plates for the older kids. And so, yes, they have a menu of items that you get to choose from every week. You choose the meals that you want, the number of meals that you want. So if you found that your kid likes something, so my son has gravitated to a couple of their meals. So I know those are his favorites. So I make sure that I order more of those. But you can order, I mean, you decide on the amount. They even have breakfast meals that you can choose from. My son hasn't gotten into the pancakes and the French
mhm.
toast yet, so
He
I don't
likes his
order
oatmeal.
those.
I know that's right. Go
I'm like,
with
he
it.
loves his oatmeal. They even have
Healthy.
desserts and they have smoothies that you can
Oh,
order for your kid if you want to. And they make sure they put all the vegetables and fruits in it.
I'm in the wrong
So
profession.
if you can afford it, and I just think it has been a lifesaver for me because I just don't have the capacity to, when I'm doing this by myself,
Yeah,
to cook a
got it.
meal once I've come home at 6:30, because then I, feed him. He's got a little bit of playtime, then it's diapers, it's bath time, it's preparing for bed, and then it's getting everything ready for the next day, packing his bag and all of that. And what are you going to send to school the next day? I don't have the time or the bandwidth to think about that and do that. So this has been a lifesaver for me. And this is just one subscription service. I've seen others. So look into that. Like I said, if you can
That's
afford
really good.
it, the $80 a week, I would say it's
It's
so
worth
worth
it.
it. It's worth it. So you have to look realistically, what is my lifestyle? What is it that I can afford to do? If I have to buy specialized food and specialized meals or cook meals that are very specific for, this kid, am I able to do it? I think also consider, do I have a village? Am I about to try to take on this journey where I have very few friends? None of my family live here. I don't know if the father's going to stick around. Well, if the father's not going to be around, then I'm not going to get relief on the weekends because motherhood is stressful. You're going to be tired. You're going to lose patience. So, what is going to be your outlet if you don't have a village? So,
That's
I
good.
would strongly consider, you got to be able to have some sort of release and pressure points. What if my kid is colicky and I can't get them to stop crying? That is nerve-wracking in and of itself. So you have to consider the totality of your situation. Yes, kids can get by. You might have to buy a cheaper version of diapers.
Mhm.
Ask friends and coworkers to give clothes if they have it, so you can get by in feeding and diapering the child. But then there's just baby considerations to consider. Yeah, they don't have to have a bassinet, they can sleep with you. But then how do you then get them out of your bed when they're like
When it's time to
5,
roll.
if they're used to sleeping with mom? Then,
Right.
that's another struggle that you're gonna be dealing with. And if they start wetting the bed and they're in the bed with you or in the bed with siblings, like just space issues. You just have to
Right.
really, I think, be realistic about what your situation is and what your capacity is in terms
Right.
of caring for another person. Do I have the patience to go through this when I'm tired and work has been stressing me out and I'm trying to make ends meet, but I got to tend to another person and feed another person? before I can look at myself, or I know he's gonna need diapers, or the shoes are now too small, and baby shoes are just as expensive as regular shoes. So make
Don't
sure you
understand.
have your places that you're gonna go. I mean, Ross, I think, and Marshall have been very good. They're very good in terms of being able to buy things that you need for a little amount.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think you just have to be realistic about what your whole situation is, and the type of parent that you want to be. I would say even
Good.
indoor playground areas. I started looking at taking my son to indoor play areas. They don't charge for the parent, but they usually charge for the kid. So even that is $12, like, or $16,
Mhm.
$20. So what kind of activities can you do with your kids? Yeah, you can take them
Right.
out to play areas, but if you're in a place that has winter, or it's super hot and you
That's
want to be
good.
inside, what kind of
That's
activities can I
good.
do for my kids? Zoos are expensive. Like, you just have to really see what your total situation is, and take into, consideration, where do you live? What is your village?
I
What
like
is the
that.
capacity for giving to someone else when I'm on empty, you know?
Yeah, no, I think wow. Okay. Wow. Because I would have never thought about what is my climate like in terms of planning, like what activities would I have to do as a mom. So listen, Attorney Watts has given us nugget after nugget after nugget. Y'all better be picking up these nuggets, okay? Because you're
Okay.
not going to get this information anywhere else. If you are preparing to be a mom, you're aspiring to be a mom, make sure you sit down, watch this, take some notes. Okay. Attorney Watts, we
Yes.
could not even pay you for this information. This was really good. I mean, you touch on some areas.
I hope so. I hope so.
No, this is really, really good. And it was a great balance of being realistic, but still being encouraging. Like you
Yeah.
can do it. It's expensive, but you can do it. You just got to be intentional about doing it. And what
Yes.
do you want your motherhood to look like? I love that. I
Mhm.
love that. So thank you for
You're
laying
welcome.
down the law of the land. No pun intended. How I did it. You see how I did that? Okay.
Yes, the law of the
Laying
land.
down the law of motherhood. If they want to also continue to follow you in your motherhood journey, where can they find you? Are they allowed to follow you? Can we look for you?
Oh
Can we
yeah.
support you?
Yeah, I don't do too much on X, Twitter, or whatever, but I'm definitely
We're like, whatever it's called, XYZ.
whatever it's called, however you engage on that platform. I don't do much on that platform, but I am on Instagram as Law Queen B. That's LAWQUEENBEE. That's me. I have some pictures of my son up when I think to post. Of course, I love him and think he's the cutest thing.
He is. He is. You got to
But yeah,
co-sign.
you can find me on Instagram most of the time, and that's where I post most of.
And listen, now you understand why she's Law Queen B. Okay, because she set down the Queen Bee of motherhood. And I am Dr. T, the hand behind the handle of Healthy Bum Club right here on YouTube. And always a joy to be also the hand behind the handle of Healthy Bum Club on Instagram. We thank you for watching. And let me tell you, we did this episode that is still trending. I see that y'all are still watching, where Attorney Watts also shared her decision making to become an older mom. Okay.
Oh,
So make sure you don't listen. Make sure you catch that episode. Make sure you don't miss it. It's gonna be either up here or up here. We'll figure it out. But I'm gonna tag that episode to this one so you can continue to get some of her pearls of wisdom
thank
as you
you.
decide to navigate on motherhood. And we see you guys when next episode. And